Hey everybody, it's Connie, the Compassionate Medium. How are y'all doing tonight? We'll wait here for just a few more minutes, see who all pops in. I see one has joined. I hope we get more. We have a very special episode. This is the third episode in this series that I'm doing called Chatting with Joel and Guests. And just to fill you all in just a little bit, Joel is my spirit guide, and he facilitates all of the spirits that I talk to. He brings them all into me. So he has started bringing in some very special guests for me to chat with. And tonight we're going to be speaking with Princess Diana, which is very exciting. I grew up in the time, I was actually in high school in 1981 when Prince Charles and Lady Diana's big wedding. I can remember it just very clearly watching it. I see Lila. Hi Lila, how are you? We are so excited tonight to be able to talk to her, and Joel has very nicely brought her through tonight so we can chat a little bit to her. I see Sandra has joined us. Hi, Sandra. Now, to be able to do this and to keep it from being so much of me just doing all the talking, I would like to have you all post any questions that you may have that you want me to ask of her, and we'll go from there. So, hey Sandra, I'm so excited tonight. Sandra's the same age as I am, so we watched the royal wedding back in 1981, and I'm sure many of you also did. It was very exciting. But tonight we want to talk about Princess Diana's life, the way she grew up, her marriage, her children, the way she's lived her life giving to people, and then also we'll chat a little bit about, I'm sure we'll chat a little bit about her death, and at the time that she actually passed. So, actually, you all can see I'm in my vehicle again tonight. For some strange reason, I feel very comfortable out here and very easy to get my mind clear and to be able to do the things that I do. So, this is where I am tonight. You'll see me in my vehicle. And Joel is here, and he has brought Lady Diana here to chat with us. So I just want to welcome you. Thank you very much for coming to speak with us a little bit tonight. The reason we do this is to expand your mind and to empower your spirit, and know that there's more to life than our everyday mundane goings on here in this world. So, she's asking me to call her Diana. It's very hard for me to call you Diana because you are Lady Di, or Princess Diana as we've all known you. Let's start a little bit about, if you don't mind, talking about your life as a young child, how you grew up. She is saying that, of course, she was born in a noble family, but her mother and father had a very tumultuous relationship, and they ended up splitting up and divorcing when she was young. And her 2 sisters and brother stayed with her father. And they were well off. They had a nice home that they lived in. She said her father was he was a good father, she said, but he was very distant. He had more in common with her brother than he did with her and her sisters. She said she went through school just like any other person would do. And that she did study to be a teacher, a preschool teacher. And that's what she always wanted to do, was work with young children. She's saying that she did know Prince Charles for quite a while. She had met him in certain circles that they were involved in. She's saying she never quite found him that interesting, and he never had much to do with her. He was very polite to her, she says. So tell me a little bit when things changed, when he did start to come around you more and to ask you out to certain affairs or dates, if you want to call it. She said that they never really had a lot of dates. They did go out a few times in their own circle. That they did have dinner a few times. She says when he did ask her to marry him, she of course said yes, because she said she thought that was what was expected of her. She never really had a lot of dates before she met Prince Charles. She said, of course, she was very shy. She said her father always told the girls, especially, that they were to marry someone of a royal bloodline. That was what was expected them to do, of nobility. So she said she did just what she thought she was supposed to do. She says that she was probably infatuated with Charles. But she says, looking back, she never really loved Charles. And she knew that Charles never really loved her. She's saying that she always knew about Camilla. And she said even though she knew that Prince Charles loved Camilla, their marriage was the way the royal family wanted it to be. He had to pick someone of noble blood, of course, which Camilla is also, but so is she. And that they preferred the person to be a virgin, which she was. I'm saying hi to everybody that's joined. I'm sorry I can't really watch. I'm watching the scrolls as best as I can. So just welcome everybody who's here with us. So, tell me about, of course, we all know about the wedding and how lovely it was. And how it brought back the fairy tale to everybody's mind. Tell us about your actual life after you married Charles. She said after the wedding, she took the role as she was meant to do. She followed instructions that she was meant to follow. Was very strict. She said the queen kind of took her under her wing and showed her the proper way to do things and to say things. And she says for a while she was very happy. She was doing what she was raised to do and made to think that was the way her life should be. She says that her and Charles were never really that intimate. She said it was like doing her duty. Okay. She says when she got pregnant, of course, she was very happy because she loves children. And she said that her day-to-day life never really changed. It stayed the same. She was to be an ambassador for the royal family, which she said she did her best to do. And just to say that you brought so much to the royal family because they're always so, they just seem so unapproachable. And once you came into the family, it was almost like you brought back, I think they called you the princess of the people, or the princess to the people. And that made a huge difference in England, the way people viewed the royal family at that time. She said even though she was very shy, she did enjoy meeting people and speaking with people. But she was limited, of course, because she was the princess. She says when William was born, she was very excited. Charles was very excited because it was he was a male, which is very important to the royal family. And she said she tried to be as a normal mother as she could to Will, she says. Of course, there were people there that were expected to help raise him, but she said she tried to be his mom as much as she could be and to teach him things that he wouldn't have learned from the royal family. She says she tried to keep both him and Harry very close to the ground and not let the royalty go to their head. So we know you did so much for certain charitable things and certain people. One of the big ones was your acknowledgement of HIV and AIDS. Can you tell me a little bit about that? And I just love to hear her talk. Oh, she talks so, it's just so nice. The accent. She said she always felt very comfortable around people in hospitals and clinics. And with HIV and AIDS, there was such a stigma connected with that, and she felt very sorry for the people, and she wanted to bring awareness to the people that having HIV or AIDS doesn't mean that you can't give them compassion and you can't give them love. She said she did a lot of work for the HIV/AIDS awareness, and she's very proud of that work. And she says she's very proud of her work with the children in Ethiopia and Africa. And she's saying that that was a very sad time for her when she first went to Africa to see these children that were HIV positive and were literally, she said, literally dying, I'm sorry, in front of her eyes when she was there. And the happiness that she felt just to hold them and give them love. And she says she's very proud of her two boys that have continued doing that same work. I'm going through and looking, see. I see some questions rolling. I see yours, Dawn, and I see yours, Diane. We'll get to those. She said she never really she never really wanted the credit for doing what she did. She did it because she knew it was right. And that she was glad she could have an impact on that. So moving forward, of course, we know you had Prince Harry. Did you ever want a daughter? She's saying, of course. She says every woman would love to have a daughter. But she loved William and Harry so much that it never made a difference in her life that she didn't have a daughter. She said they still are her two angels that made her life worth living. So let's move ahead and talk a little bit about your separation and your eventual divorce, which was just really something that was unheard of in the royal settings. She said she did a lot of maturing during her marriage. She saw a lot of things during her marriage. And she knew that there was really no love in her marriage. She said she loves Charles because he is the father of her wonderful children. She said, but other than that, there was no relationship really. She said at first the separation was just, she moved to a different part of the home, a separate part of the home. And that way she said that William and Harry was still in their home, and Charles was still able to be with them as much as he wanted to. She said it did not make the Queen very happy. She said although she knew all along that Charles was in love with Camilla, she says Camilla just was not what the Queen or the royal family had in mind to be the princess. She said after a while she knew that she couldn't live like that anymore and that she did petition for a divorce. She was moved to another home of the royal families, but completely separate. She said it was very difficult because she was pretty much shunned from the royal family because of this. She was considered to be the one at fault, and she took the blunt of their anger. Okay. Eventually, she said she was granted the divorce. She was given she says, a small settlement, but she could no longer be called by her title anymore. They stripped her of her title. Okay, so you couldn't get a moment's peace anywhere you went, talking about always being in the public eye. How did you feel about that? She says she always loved greeting the public. She said the photographers she wasn't so happy with because they were everywhere. She said they were everywhere. She said it was really hard to keep William and Harry out of that situation because they would go so far to get a picture. She said they would hide in her bushes. They would peep through her windows. She said everything she did was constantly photographed. She's saying that she never really dated much after the divorce. Mainly, she says, because she was so scrutinized. Sorry, y'all, the lights keep going off in my car. I've turned it back on. She's saying everything she did was for the public to see. She never had a moment's peace. She said you couldn't have a romantic meal or a date without dozens of people being there watching. She said another reason that she never really dated that much is because she was frightened. She always thought that she says she always thought that Charles wanted her dead and that they could make it happen if they really wanted it to. She said the Queen wanted William and Harry to be raised by Charles. And she says that's something that she just would not allow while she was alive. Because she wanted her boys, even though they were destined to be royalty, destined to be, she said, maybe even be the king. She wanted to raise them to be as common as she could. So there's a couple of questions that our viewers have asked. Let me get to them here, and we'll see which one we want to ask first. So let's move on ahead just a little bit. We'll talk about your death, if that's okay. She said that's fine. So there's all kinds of conspiracy theories, so many things said about how you died. Can you walk me through that evening that everything happened? Okay, she said that her and Dodie had been seeing each other for a while. She said she liked him very much. She was accepted by his family. She said that night they had dinner together at Dodie's father's hotel. And she said as they were getting ready to leave, they knew all of these, of course, photographers and everything were everywhere. So they had told the driver to try to go around to another exit so they could not have to go through so many of the photographers, she said. She said, of course, they were everywhere. They were at every exit, every entrance, every window, everywhere. She said, so they got in the car and they were driving. And she said another thing she wanted to make very clear is that the driver himself, she says Henri, the driver Henri, had not been drinking. She said, which was another thing people said. He caused the accident. She said that was not true. She said, yes, they were trying to get away from the paparazzi. She said the traffic in Paris is very fast compared to a lot of other places. She said, and yes, she's calling him Henri, was driving to get away from them. She said, but there was no way to get away from them. She said they were everywhere. She said she never was scared of the way he was driving. She never was frightened of the way he was driving. She said she was frightened of the people that were driving up to her and around the cars trying to take pictures of them in the car. She said that did frighten her. And she basically said it just happened. It was over. Um, so she so here's a question that says, so your car accident, was it really an accident or a conspiracy? She kind of chuckles. She's saying that once she passed and crossed over, she does believe that the accident was caused by someone wanting to get rid of her. She said there had been several times beforehand that she had been in situations where she felt very unsafe. She said she always felt like someone was watching her. She said not talking about the photographers, but other people watching her. She said she always felt very paranoid that there were eyes on her. And she's basically saying whether it was a conspiracy or not, she said it happened. Excuse me. And she knows that that was just her lot in life, that what was meant to be was to be. So let's move on. We'll find another question. Which they asked, do you know what caused your death? She's saying, of course, the accident caused her death. She says her and Dodie were in the back seat. She just said the impact was so hard. She's saying that she did not die instantly. And she says she can remember hearing the sirens, but she did not. She had already passed when the police and ambulance got to her. Okay. So, Of course, your funeral was so like your life, well televised, and it was a sad, sad day for a lot of people. I can remember hearing it and just being so stunned that you had passed. And I watched for hours upon hours upon hours, just hoping that you would have survived. And then, of course, the funeral was just so sad with William and Harry being there, and someone had mentioned on here that it was so sad to see. It said I think Harry didn't like walking behind your coffin in front of the media. She said her boys, her angels, she calls them, were always taught to respect the media. And she said she always told them that they would constantly be in the public eye. She said that as young boys, they always hated it because they never had any privacy. And she said that was a very hard time for William and Harry, of course. She said what children wouldn't be devastated to lose their mother. She said the outpouring of love from around the world was very, very much appreciated, she said. However, she said she doesn't think that it was very much appreciated by the royal family, because she always felt, well, she said she knew that they had hoped once the divorce had happened that she would just kind of be out of the picture, and her popularity or whatever would begin to fade. She said, but people came out for her funeral, and she was very touched and appreciated the outpouring of love that William and Harry got. So let's go on. Oh, yeah. Well, that's a good question. What do you think about your daughter-in-laws? She says she absolutely loved Kate. She thought Kate was a wonderful choice that Will made. She said that they were and are soulmates. She said that, of course, Kate is of a of the royal bloodline, she said. She said she likes Meghan very much too, because she said she's very good for Harry. She said Harry had a little wild streak and needed to have someone to help control him, she said. And she said she was very excited that Harry stood up and married the woman that he loved instead of marrying for a bloodline. She said she was very proud of him for doing that. She's saying, not saying that Will didn't marry for love. He did marry for love, even though she happens to be in a royal bloodline. She's very proud of her 2 boys. She's saying she couldn't have picked 2 better women to be in her sons' lives. Well, that question, I think we kind of know. How do you feel about Duchess Camilla? She said she's not laughing because she doesn't really laugh like that, but she is kind of giggling. She says she is happy that Charles is with the woman that he loves. And she's happy that he is happy. And she says Camilla has always treated her 2 boys very, very nicely. Okay, let's see what else we've got here. Another question is, says, I've heard she was pregnant. I take it that they're asking, were you pregnant at the time of your passing? She says, no, she was not pregnant. She said, although she cared very deeply for Dodie, she said marriage would have not been in the future. Okay. That's interesting. I think I may have gotten all the questions here. Let's see. Tell us about your grandbabies. I know you've got to be. She's smiling from ear to ear. She says she absolutely adores her grandbabies. She's saying that she held every single one before they actually were born. She says Prince Louis is just a sweetheart. And she said Princess Catherine, she calls her, is just she said a lovely child. And you have another one on the way with Harry and Meghan. She says yes. Yes, she does. She says she's very excited that her boys, her angels, she calls them, they're very good fathers. She says they are very good fathers. She said that William's life with the military, she says that he is gone a lot, but he's always there for Kate and his 2 children. Said he loves them dearly. scroll through and see if we have any more questions. Okay, I think that's all the questions. So, what can you tell us about being over on the other side? What can you give us any insights on excuse me, what it's like, what you've learned, what are you doing, anything like that? She says she's actually stayed very busy. Watching over her children and her grandchildren. And she said she was very fortunate that the way she lived her life here is very similar to the way she lives her life there. What do you mean? She's saying that the love that she had here when she was alive is still the love she has there, that she is still able to care and have compassion for people. She's able to help lead people to be more giving and caring and loving while they're here. She's saying the main thing she could tell everybody is that just because you have passed from this life does not mean your life is over. You still have things to do. And she says the love that you have here is the love that you take with you there. Somebody's asking, what kind of signs do you give? Do you ever give any signs when you're around your children or your grandchildren? She's saying that William is very, she says William is very spiritual minded, and that he always seems to know when she's around. She said Harry is a little different. She said he's more hard-headed, even though he does believe that there is life after you pass. She says he did feel her very heavily at his wedding. She said he sensed her there. So, do you have any I'm trying to put this, are you wanting to come back? Are you wanting to be reincarnated? Really? She's saying actually her soul has already been reborn. And actually has been reborn in Catherine. So you are actually this, your soul is in your granddaughter. You have been reincarnated into Catherine. Yeah, that's what she's saying, you guys. She's saying as you watch Catherine grow, the more you will see her personality come out. She's saying that you will see how she is very caring and giving and loving. So why did you choose her over all your other grandchildren? Or tell me, how does that happen? How does that work? She's saying that everybody, everybody's being, everybody's soul, all has a chance to meet and 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 meet, and she said, and know each other. And she says before Catherine was born, she met Catherine's soul, and they connected so much that she really had no choice. She said she felt this was where she needed to be. She says that she said that she wasn't any more special than her other children or the other souls that she has encountered, but she felt the connection and the bond, and she knew that's what needed to be connected. She's saying that Will has already seen things that remind him of her in Catherine. Excuse me. So when that happens and you reincarnate, how, and like you're here with me now, how does that work? She said it's really not very difficult. She said everybody's soul, everybody's, she's saying being, everybody's being is everywhere. She says that it's everywhere. Once you leave, once you pass, you're everywhere. And just because she has chosen to come back into Catherine does not mean that she is still not able to continue her work on the other side. And that's the whole reason why we are doing what we do, is because my spirit guide wants to expand everybody's mind and to expand and empower your spirit to know that there is so much more to life than what we live here every day. She's saying she's very appreciative of being allowed to be here and tell her story. And she says to maybe enlighten others on her journey and on their journey. So, looking ahead in the future of the royal family, we all know that Charles is to one day become king, unless he doesn't want it, and then we know will be the next in line. Could you give us any kind of insight on what may happen? She's saying that the Queen doesn't have a lot of time left. She said even though she's very healthy and spry, she says that Charles has always wanted the throne. However, she believes that he wants it for William more. She's saying that the public has never had a admiration for Charles, but they do for Will, and they feel that Will would help to bring the country back together again more than Charles would. So she says, without saying too much, she does believe that her boy will be the King of England. Hi, Julianne, I'll see you. So is there anything else that we've not chatted about that you may want to to say anything. Anything else you may want to have to say. She's basically saying what a lot of our other guests have said, that we need to live our life as if it is our last day, because she says we never know. It could be our last moment on earth. And we want, okay, and she's saying even though she was the Princess of Wales, she's like, no, she is not, she's no better than any other person. She says, so give freely, give your time, and give your love. She says to everyone, she said, especially the ones that are downtrodden and the ones that need love the most. She says, don't be afraid to give your love to the ones that need love the most. And that's it. Is there any questions that anyone has left that we want to ask? No other questions? Okay. I want to thank you guys for joining us. I especially want to thank my spirit guide, Joel, for bringing Princess Diana through for us tonight. It was very exciting to speak with her. And I'm so excited. I do get to announce tonight who next week is going to be. And you guys, I can't hardly sit still because I'm so excited for this next guest next week. Julianne, I think you're still watching. I think you're still on here. Sorry, there goes my light again. I've talked to you about this, so you know how crazy I am about this next person. I'm so excited to announce that next week, the one and only Freddie Mercury will be here with me. I'm going to have to dress. I don't know how I'm going to dress, but I got to dress to impress him somehow. I'm absolutely crazy about him, and I have just been so enthralled with him since the movie Bohemian Rhapsody came out. So I am so very excited to say that I get to speak with Freddie Mercury next week. I cannot wait. So I don't know what next week's going to hold. I may have to pull out some of my old concert going outfits, Julianne. See if I can impress Freddie Mercury. So next week, you guys, next Wednesday at 8 o'clock, Freddie Mercury will be here. I'm so excited. So excited. I want to thank you all for coming, being here with me, and please follow my Facebook page, The Compassionate Medium. I do also offer private readings. I offer group readings. Check us out on the Facebook page, and also have a web page that you can be directed out from my Facebook page. You can go to my web page. Thank you all so much for joining me tonight. I look forward to seeing you next week. Gabby, of course, was gone again tonight. She didn't get to help me, but she promises she will be back next week. So hopefully she will, because it's easier for me not to have to watch the scrolling, and she can like tell me the questions and stuff that's being asked. So next week she'll be back with me. So thank you all so much. And with that, I'm going to finish up this live broadcast. You can, if you didn't get to see it all, I'll have it posted on the Facebook page, and also have it posted on my YouTube page, which is Chatting with Joel and Guests. So look me up on YouTube, like the channel, subscribe to it so you'll never miss an episode. And I'll talk to you next week. Bye.